Caregivers often have trouble convincing a person with mental illness to seek psychiatric treatment. Calling 911 and taking them against their will is not always ideal. Besides the obvious reason of stigma against the mentally ill, there are other reasons behind their unwillingness to receive treatment. Let's talk about them in this video and discuss solutions. One reason a person resists treatment is that they really don't think they are sick. If someone has a heart condition, you can easily notice the changes in his body and all the troublesome symptoms because he knows what a healthy heart feels like. However, based on my own experience, people with mental illness are often born with their condition. They are neurotic from a very young age and they grew up with feelings of anxiety and depression. They don't know how it feels to be a mentally healthy person. Without comparison, they can't tell if they are actually not healthy. Secondly, most people's depression and suicidal ideologies often had a trigger. Something or someone was the direct cause of their depression, for example, a breakup. They focus on the trigger and try to solve their problems instead of putting emphasis on treating the brain as a medical condition. Perhaps they are able to find an ideal solution to their problem, but the fix is very temporary. Without a healthy brain, they are likely to be easily irritated and angered, which made them very hard to get along with. Eventually, they might find themselves in a worse situation. The point is that many people tend to dwell on the outside causes of their depression without realizing that it's actually their brain that needs medical attention. Number three, if someone has a medical condition, for example, cancer, the first thing they usually do is Googling their condition, learning about their prognosis and treatment options. They want to know everything about how to recover. However, when the brain is sick and depressed, people lose interest and motivation in doing everything. They don't have the will and the mental capability to do their research. A mental illness can take away every aspiration and reduce a person to their worst self. Without being educated about their condition and learning about the latest treatment options for mental health conditions, they might not believe that this is a treatable medical condition. This comes to the biggest reason why people do not seek treatment. They simply don't think treatment is effective. Perhaps they have tried medication before but were deterred by its side effects and inability to improve symptoms. Yes, psychotropic medication is notorious for helping a lot of side effects, but if you think about it, what about the side effects of chemotherapy? It is literally injecting poison into someone's body to kill cancer cells. Yet, people usually don't think twice before enrolling in chemotherapy, in spite of the fact that it's not always effective. When it comes to psychotropic medication, yes, they have side effects, but they are usually the only effective treatment to manage mental illness. Without them, the symptoms of mental illness are physiologically unbearable. In my experience, no matter how many side effects my medication had, they still make me less crazy than not being medicated. I made a video on how I found the right medication and the right dosage, which was the key to my recovery and transformation. That video will help encourage people to seek treatment. Lastly, I just want to say the feeling of having excellent mental health is amazing. Although the process of figuring out what works for you takes a lot of patience and long suffering, do not give up. Be educated about your condition and be open and cooperative in receiving treatment. The end result is totally rewarding. You can purchase a hard copy of my book Leap on all platforms that sell books, or you can download a free PDF from my website, nancysha.com. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please consider share and subscribe.